Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, Alexi, for giving us an awesome kickoff to our summit. Alexi is, again, the CEO and founder of Finessed Media. And we're just so excited to be here today. I'm excited to be here today, and I hope everyone else is too. So, our main goal of this Music and Tech Summit is to find ways to bridge the gap between music and tech. So, our next, going into our first panel of the evening, we have Donna Tamim, our host, talking about music marketing and its impact on the industries today. So while we wait for that event to start, please feel free to network in Decentraland, have fun with your avatars, find a pen and paper, your notes app to take some notes, and yeah, just enjoy yourselves, everybody. You're in for a weekend of fun and, just meta stuff. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hello. My name is Donna Tamim. I'm a marketer at Finessed Media, and welcome to the Music Marketing Trends, utilizing data analytics trends. Today, I'm here with Vanessa, Kristie, and Anthony. We're going to be discussing all things music marketing and data analytics. So today we'll be focusing on how the use of data can help industry professionals and artists understand their place in the music market. And we'll focus on the trends they should be paying attention to, where to look for them, and how to use it to determine the best time to release music, have tours, and engage with their audiences. Before we start, real quick, and before I introduce everyone, I wanted to do like a really quick icebreaker question before I ask everything and go over the outline of the event. So real quick, what is the last song you listened to? Kristie, do you want to go first?
I was in a car ride to Florida today, so the first or the last song, I think it was one of Machine Gun Kelly's from his latest album. I don't know the specific one, but probably one of those.
That's great. Actually, I'm from Ohio, and he was just here today.
Oh yeah,
at
I
his like
did see
coffee
that.
shop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony, what about you?
Oh God. State of Grace, Taylor's version by
Oh,
Taylor Swift.
amazing. We love that. What about you, Vanessa?
I was actually listening to a reggaeton artist from Spain called Juicy Bay.
Ooh, cool.
It's a really good song. Yeah, good artist.
Okay, so with us today are Anthony Pacheco, Vanessa Villalobos, and Kristie Scavotto. And just real quick, for people that have never been to our events before, the outline of this event will be the interview section with the panelists, then a live audience Q&A. So drop your questions in the chat and the moderator will send them to me and I'll ask them to the panelists. And then we have a listening session with indie artists so they can get feedback from the panelists and for you guys to listen to some new artists. So my first question for today is, can you guys tell me how you got started working in the music industry and music marketing? Just give us a brief rundown of how you got started. Let's start with Anthony.
Hey, yeah. So as mentioned, my name is Anthony. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Simple, as well as a new data analytics platform called PromoteKit. And yeah, before I was music business, music marketing, Anthony, I was actually a musician. I was in a progressive rock band called Dwellings. And being from a small town called Modesto in California, we had like zero venues near our area. And during the time, I was doing a lot of marketing for businesses such as like Gallo Winery, for example, and a couple of like local construction companies. And long story short, we couldn't play shows to grow, like how you normally hear about like the hometown hero situation, similar to Machine Gun Kelly, right? Like he's where you're from. So, long story short, I applied a lot of what I was doing at my day job to my music. And fast forward to our first ever album release, we charted Billboard. And yeah, the rest is kind of history. From then on, I kind of stopped playing music just because I would get homesick a lot from touring. So I was like, yeah, I'm good. And yeah, I don't want to hold back the band. They're still rocking and rolling. They have a new album coming out, hopefully in this upcoming year. And yeah, like I mentioned, the rest is kind of history. I'm just doing marketing for anywhere from major label acts to even indie artists as well. So I'm in a really good position to just continue. I always say, what is it, like spreading the gospel of music marketing and data? So that's the role I have in today's landscape. So yeah.
That's awesome. Vanessa, how about you? Tell us how you got started.
Thanks. So first of all, thanks for having us here and providing this space. It's pretty cool. So I got started in marketing. First started out when I was interning at Universal Music Group. Kind of just got thrown into strategic marketing. I was doing some stuff for MIA, and then from there, just kind of everywhere where I seemed to go, it was either promotion or marketing. So just kind of kept doing the marketing. I really liked it, just kind of empowering indie artists and giving a voice to those artists that I feel need to be a little bit elevated, just because I feel like it's artists that may have fallen through the cracks. And just with the data part, I mean, like I use data analytics just to kind of get an idea as far as where our artists stand in comparison, and the streaming platforms like Spotify and things like that all comes into play as well, because those are marketing campaigns that can get started. But just kind of looking at those numbers, and I mean, we can get into the details of it later, but that was how I kind of landed here in the music and tech space. I met the CEO of ROCKI. Sorry, my cat's right here. The CEO of ROCKI on LinkedIn. So it was kind of a virtual meeting, and I still have not met him to this day, but I love working with the platform, and it's great.
That's crazy. I feel like that really shows like how technology has grown, that you've been like able to get that through that.
Definitely. And I feel like the pandemic, just that was very overlooked. I feel like with Zoom and like just kind of like metaverse, I feel like these are going to be the new spaces where we have these meetings. And it's just kind of crazy that the pandemic kind of pushed that further, what technology can do for us.
Yeah, for sure. Kristie, what about you? How do you get started?
Yes, thank you for having me, by the way. I just wanted to say that. So I am fairly new in the music industry. So last year I was laid off from my previous role because of COVID. And once I was laid off, it just like kind of I had a realization one day that was like, I've had this passion for the music industry for so long, and I have this college degree in data analytics, and I really enjoy that. So maybe I could combine the two together and make a career out of it. So yeah, I just like April of last year, kind of started building out my LinkedIn network and connecting with people in the industry, and then building out an Instagram account where I was posting like different data visualizations on some of my favorite artists, and did a couple of freelancing projects here and there. I did one major accomplishment was I worked with Miley Cyrus's digital marketing team for about a month. And I also help like manage a band called Emblem 3, where I help with their marketing and analytics and touring and all sorts of things. And currently I'm working at CrowdSurf as a digital marketing analyst. So I just started that about a month ago. So fairly new to the industry, but have had this passion forever.
That's awesome. And real quick, before I ask my next question, I actually watched Emblem 3 when I was younger on
Yes.
X Factor. A very full circle moment.
It is. Yes.
So my next question I wanted to ask you guys is, why are you interested in music and technology? Let's start with Vanessa.
So with music and technology, I feel like it just goes hand in hand. Where technology is at, music kind of has to go with it. Whether we're talking about when music went into the compact disc, and then from there went to the MP3, and you kind of had, I mean, I feel like the music industry really had to pivot on these new technologies that was coming out, and more than fight against it, it's more about embracing it, because that's where we see the movement of artists and their value kind of going up. I mean, not on all streaming platforms, but I feel like with music and technology, it's like having a left and right leg. Like you just kind of have to move along with it side by side.
Yeah, for sure. Kristie, what about you? Do you relate to anything that she said?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many new technology platforms out there. And I mean, like, look at like when Spotify first started, that was a major thing for the industry. And like streaming has taken over everything. And yeah, I mean, I'm just overall interested in kind of like, because I have a degree in data analytics, so using that to kind of predict trends and just understand what's going on in the music world.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Anthony?
I've always had an interest in both industries, and I never thought that they'd like pair together like so well. It's crazy. And it's funny because like I come from a, I'm Hispanic. So growing up, it was always like, music's never gonna make you money. Go into computers, that's the future technology. So I'm like, oh, okay, let me look into computers or whatever. And here we are doing both things. It's amazing. So shout out to you, Vanessa. I assume you're Hispanic. And yeah, just anyone else who is. I don't want to assume, but yeah, if you're watching, you know where I'm coming from.
I honestly relate to that a lot too. So that's very nice to see you being so successful for me also. So one of the reasons we decided to discuss music marketing and data today was because it plays a big role in telling us about people's patterns and the future of music and tech. So can a few of you tell me about how your role at your companies play a part in the grander scheme of marketing, music, and technology? Vanessa, I know that you work at ROCKI and it's like a fairly new platform. So could you explain that to everyone watching?
So since we are a new platform, it's a startup that was just actually started end of 2019, right before the pandemic started. So with the marketing trends that are happening in the music industry, kind of have to base our marketing campaigns and strategies on artists that may sound similar to anyone that this like independent artist emulates. So say it's an indie rock band like the Red Pears, they sound like the Strokes. So kind of like hitting that demographic and that marketing. So it's kind of, and it's a little bit different also because you have to realize that the NFT community is also on Discord. So now there's other platforms that you kind of have to get used to, and these independent artists kind of have to pivot on like different platforms, and then the marketing is going to be different, the strategy is going to be different. But I mean, it's hitting up these like newer platforms where Discord and Telegram, which I feel brings that NFT community together and then has that direct fan engagement. So with the data analytics, I usually, like the last example I gave, that's when I implement something like that. And then if it's also like a band that you could actually partner with a certain brand, like say with MIA, when I worked with her at UMG, we were finding her like nail polish companies that she would like to work with, and just like bright colors and things like that. So the data analytics, like you can also see that in like the streaming, and if that went up during the marketing campaign for the brand that she was going to partner with. So it's a lot of kind of trial and error, and kind of like looking at these data and like finding these patterns within it, just kind of like finding that pattern and then exaggerating it or making it exponentially bigger.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really interesting to see how that all intertwines. What about you, Kristie? Can you tell us how your role, your company plays a greater part in the theme?
Yeah, so CrowdSurf, for those who don't know, it was founded back in 2007, I believe, and it is a digital marketing agency that provides obviously digital marketing services to artists and brands and public figures. Like these artists range in all levels from their career, from smaller bands and artists to global sensations. And my role is a brand new role that opened up. It's the first data role on their whole company. And what I'm doing is providing the data behind these artists and brands and public figures in order to figure out what marketing campaigns are working and what aren't. So what I'm doing on a daily basis pretty much is looking at artist followers on major platforms like Spotify followers, Instagram, Twitter, especially TikTok now these days, and kind of really providing that raw data in a format that our teams can understand and then use that to implement in future strategies. So for instance, if we see an artist is a lot of followers, they're having a lot of followers decreasing on so-and-so platform, kind of understanding why that's happening, and then using that data so we can improve those future campaigns, because obviously if we're losing followers, something's not working. So we want to kind of just use that data overall to make those decisions.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure that people in the audience should really be taking some notes, because these are some great pieces of knowledge that they're dropping with us. What about you, Anthony?
Yeah, so my role is a weird one. I niche specifically in paid advertising. So whenever, we're talking like marketing as a whole, like I always like to talk about how there's like multiple different ways to market something, or just different marketing channels, right? And the marketing channel that I niche in specifically, just across the board with everything I do, is the paid media or paid ad space. So running Facebook and Instagram ads, running, YouTube and TikTok paid ads as well. And all of these platforms, kind of how, everyone has mentioned, have analytics inside of them. And it's usually up to, people like us to actually come up with the strategy from the data. And as you guys put it best, it's like finding patterns within that data. And more so my role with like paid media specifically, in the way that I use like data in particular, it's kind of like a process of elimination. So the way a campaign works is like, I define different target audiences and I test them for a specific artist. And let's say I come up with like 5, and I kind of go into the back end of the ads manager, or, we create our reports through, another company I founded called the Promote Kit. It's a reporting tool that kind of lets you know, hey, here's your ad spend, here's your, link clicks, here's what people do after they click on the link, right? So a lot of it's just a process of elimination based off of the data that you get, and then you make decisions based off of that. So that's how I use data. And an interesting fact that I found when I knew that I was going to come on stage was that it was a report from this company called Music Tomorrow. And essentially 48% of music professionals actually use data analytics on the daily, which is crazy. So that just, as a whole, just stresses the importance of analytics and data to make, wise decisions in our industry. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that actually leads perfectly into my next question. So speaking of all of that and how you've been using data, from your experience, what trends have you seen that are really interesting to you? And how is this impacting the music industry for like artists and aspiring music professionals to look at and pay attention to? Kristie, can we start with you?
Yeah, so for me, that's a little hard to answer just because I'm so new to the industry, kind of having this overall experience. But one thing I've noticed is how big of a platform TikTok is, and really jumping on whatever TikTok trends are currently happening. But yeah, I feel like that's really all I can say, just because of my really lack of experience thus far.
Yeah, for sure. I think TikTok is a huge platform, and we've seen it like completely transform some indie artists' career.
Yeah.
What about you, Vanessa?
For me, I would say some marketing trends, just usually TikTok is a pretty good indicator of what is trending and what is going viral. But it's really different, because you have to kind of be in that NFT community, and just because it is how they say the wild west, and it's very new, you kind of have to see what other artists may be doing and how creative you can get. Because with the NFTs that are dropping on ROCKI, like some are like from Nigerian artist Alex the Boss, he's actually doing a portion of the royalties. I believe it's like 30% is going to these fans, but it's also having to just kind of see if like that worked for him, and then seeing that marketing trend and just like wanting to expand on it even further or just make it bigger. But just kind of also seeing what like the metaverse space and where the music industry is going. Metaverse space where you're seeing Fortnite with Travis Scott, anything else that I feel is very technology based is something to look out for if you work in the music industry, if you're an independent artist, trying to still keep up with technology, because that is really important.
Yeah, for sure. And for anyone watching who would want to get into NFTs, do you have any advice for them of how they could start with that?
As far as them minting an NFT or just trying to
I guess
inform
enter the
themselves?
community.
Well, I would say with us, if you're going to try and upload anything under ROCKI, we have a Discord and Telegram group, and the artists there, that they're ROCKI artists. I mean, they're all independent artists. That's who we work with, but they need to be self-published. But that community, honestly, they just help each other out, whether it's knowing if the staking for artist cycle 2 is still going on, if anything is with the ROCKI token, if there's been any like hacking on a different exchange, if that's going to be impacting our community, how to kind of like see the liquidity as well from investors. So I feel like a Discord group is really, really important, because having to migrate your audience on Spotify and SoundCloud over to ROCKI or any other crypto platform like Audius as well, they're just kind of going to be wondering, well, what is this? And then like you kind of have to create that hype up yourself for the independent artists, and kind of just like educate them as far as like making like short reels, like, hey, come over to ROCKI because we actually have are able to get more monetization for our art, or just anything like that. But I feel like that is going to be that has been an obstacle with the mass adoption, because to be honest, we're at the early adoption phase right now, and this is the early adopters that are benefiting from it. So
Yeah, for sure. And I hope that people watching will join on, and that's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, one last thing I did want to say, we actually have a artist relief fund that any artist that has been impacted by COVID, you can actually go to ROCKI.app and then pre-register for that artist relief fund. And it's $1,001 or US dollars. And that is going to be actually a minimum of 50% is going to go to the LGBTQ plus community, communities that have been marginalized, that have been historically excluded, be that Black, Indigenous, people of color, etc. So if you just go to ROCKI.app, we'll be able to send you an email, and yeah, so you're basically getting free money because all artists have been impacted by it.
That's so awesome. Everyone watching should definitely check that out. So touching on all these topics, how do you use data to inform your decisions about marketing in the entertainment world? And could you give an example? Anthony, I want to start with you because you kind of were touching on that with your promote kit.
Yeah, so sorry, could you repeat the question again?
Yeah. How do you use data to inform your decisions about marketing in the music world? And you have an example of you doing that.
Yeah, I could go on for hours on just that, just because there is so much data out there, as everyone has pointed out. But I want to say that's the issue, that there is so much data and no one really knows what to do with it. So I kind of like, again, because I niche specifically in the paid media space, a prime example is, when you're defining like your target audience or whatever, when you're going to run like a paid media campaign, using the analytics that you see from an ads manager or, promote kit, for example, you can really see, at what rate people are converting, whatever that conversion is, right? Like I got like 1,000 impressions on this ad campaign. Out of those impressions, what percentage of people actually converted to click through to listen to the song on Spotify, or what percentage of these people actually went through and made a purchase, right? Like on your Shopify store, for example. So that's kind of the gap that we're looking to fill in the paid media space with Promote Kit, is that we not only integrate with like your Spotify, your Instagram, and Facebook, like to monitor your performance, but the biggest like focus is that this is a tool for the paid media buyer at, Universal or Sony or at an indie label. You can sign up for it and like log in using like your Facebook. And then you select like the ad campaign that you're running, and you get a really cool like funnel visualization going, kind of how I mentioned, all the way from impressions all the way down to your conversion, whatever that conversion is. So the reason you want to do that is so you can see like, hey, if only 5% of people are converting, like what can I do to improve upon that? Which kind of segues into like the features we're looking to implement in the future, like giving actual insights. Because again, there's just so much data out there and there's little to no insights, or like not every label or digital marketing agency can afford someone like Kristie, for example, to kind of lead the charge in that. Or even if they do have a Kristie, for example, they can leverage a tool like PromoteKit to make their jobs a little bit easier. So again, data is everywhere. I could go on about this forever, but yeah, the short and sweet version is like the way we use it is to make money and time saving decisions, essentially.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really interesting perspective for people to hear about too. Kristie, does that cross over with some of what you do at all, or how do you use it to inform your decisions?
Yeah, somewhat. So with Emblem 3, which is, for those who don't know, it's a band of two brothers and like one, like, I don't know, they call him like a half brother. It's like their best friend. But so they got started on X Factor back in 2012 and kind of had like a few rough patches over the years. But in doing so and working with them, I've really kind of gotten an understanding of who their fans are, who the super fans are, especially, and really using like Spotify for Artists is my best friend. I can see all sorts of data from like gender, age, location. I'm able to see like the source of the Spotify streams for them. So if, for instance, for them, a majority of their streaming comes from users' personal playlists and libraries. So knowing that, I can then focus on getting them onto like some major playlists because they're lacking in that area for their source of stream. So those are a few examples. And then touching on location, that's a huge one for us. So we recently had a tour this summer and really using our top listening cities for setting tour dates. And our top listening city was Chicago. So really using that knowledge to kind of plan like extra surprises, or like we did a bunch of press appearances. So yeah, I mean, there's just a ton of data to use, but that's a few examples that we've implemented and have done.
Yeah, that's awesome. Vanessa, since like ROCKI, it focuses more on like the NFT stuff. What do you guys use to inform your decisions?
For us, it's usually going off of the Spotify numbers for any artists that are similar to artists that are a little bit bigger, just kind of give us an idea. It's not to say that we don't have the location of like our listeners or anything like that. So it's just kind of like implementing that data, but there's also, so I know some major record labels use Nielsen data, I believe. I think that's what it's called now, because I know they switch up their names. But getting like the Recording Industry Association from the Americas, getting that info and seeing like the consumption of, let's say, like vinyl this last year, that just like kind of sort up, and even cassette sales. So like seeing that kind of those numbers and being able to kind of like pick those patterns out, and being able to also translate that onto the NFT music streaming platform that is ROCKI. And I mean, you can do like an NFT bundle on our platform if it's an autographed poster with the collectible of a digital NFT. And so the data analysis portion is a little bit, because I didn't do data analysis. That's not what I studied. And I didn't study marketing either, but I always seem to fall into marketing because I'm pretty good at promotion and things like that. And I have like experience at like previous independent record labels, but just kind of like trying out these like, I want to say like these marketing strategies and seeing if they work. And it'll work for certain artists, but then they might have like a bigger following, say on TikTok. TikTok, I know hip hop does really well on TikTok, but that may not be the case for like, to say, I'm not sure, like a different platform that that maybe like their main the main genre that they're consuming isn't hip hop. So it's just kind of have to figure it out, kind of just like change the formula a little bit and see what works for what artists.
Yeah,
I actually can I touch on something that Vanessa said? So when she brought up cassettes and vinyls, I think what comes to mind for me is Taylor Swift. In my opinion, like her and her team are marketing geniuses, and they really picked up on that trend of cassettes and vinyls taking a huge leap. And I forget which album, I think it was Folklore or Evermore. They really put out different versions of cassettes and vinyl. So everyone had like a different kind of version. It was just really cool to see that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, this is like with the data as well too. I mean, Gen Z and millennials are a little bit more eco-conscious, just more into sustainability and things like that. So this band, the Black Angels, they recently released a cassette, but the container for the cassette isn't plastic; it's actually recycled. So it's and so like you see that, and you see like the market that they're tapping into, and like they have like an older generation of listeners. But then I feel like like pulling that data out and seeing those patterns, like as far as like Kristie was saying as well, I think it's like really fascinating, and so it's super interesting. I like picking that apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And seeing how you guys both mentioned Spotify too. And Anthony, wait, I saw you unmuted. Did you want to add something?
Oh yeah, unrelated, but I bought an autographed digital version of Taylor Swift's Red album. Like, I don't know, like my girlfriend wanted it, no context or anything. She was just like, hey, I want this. And I was like, I don't get it, but okay, I'll buy it. So yeah, just unrelated, but that just shows the power that artists have over their fan bases, like kind of full circle with like NFTs and just collectibles, like just to have bragging rights. Like it's a crazy time to be a musician for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to see how like fan engagement ties back with that, because I have a lot of friends that are really big Swifties, and I know they would have loved to have that. So tying kind of back to like a bigger scheme, if someone is interested in learning more about the space, either as an artist or a professional, where do you guys recommend that they start? Kristie, why don't we start with you, since you said you're like fairly newer?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I just started on Google, honestly, and just Googling like data analytics and music industry and seeing what came up. There's a lot of great resources out there. One in particular I want to mention it's a music workshop. It's actually happening in February of next year. It's called Measure of Music, and you can participate like as a like in the workshop or just as a listener, and it really helps. It just started last year or earlier this year, and it really provides people with an understanding of what data analytics is and how it's used in the music industry, and really gives you a hands-on opportunity to use that, and provides some really good information for listeners as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a resource that people watching should check out. Anthony, what about you?
LinkedIn has proven to time after time, like just been a really cool resource for me, just outside of data analytics, just to see what's going on in the industry. It's a very, I want to say like slept on platform for sure, because just it sounds boring, like LinkedIn, like what am I going to do? Hit up a recruiter that's not going to hit me back. But I think that's a great tool to engage with people, especially in the data analytics space. I want to say that's how I actually got connected with Kristie, or it was Instagram. I want to say around like May of last year, that's when we got connected. But yeah, I would say just network on LinkedIn. And I tried making like a beginner's guide to music analytics article, but I'm sure there's a lot missing from there, but there is a lot of information on there. Just shameless plug, I guess, but it's on my website. It kind of gives you just like a basic overview of the different data sources that are available to musicians for free, ranging all the way from, the DSP specific data sources all the way to the social sources, to tools such as like, chart metrics, sound charts, promote kit, etc. So yeah,
that's awesome, and people should definitely check that out. What about you, Vanessa?
I'd have to agree 100% with what Anthony said about LinkedIn. Even before the pandemic, it's just such a great tool. And as far as keeping up with any music industry news, I feel like it is a very slept on platform. And there's always constantly, you could follow anyone that's in the music industry, any professional you'd like, and you can see like any articles that are being shared. And that is how I landed where I work right now. I was Bjorn Niklas, who's the CEO of ROCKI. He reached out to me, just kind of started having a conversation there. And then I ended up getting hired before I finished my master's program at CSUN. So I would say just Google, like how Kristie was saying as well, like you just Google like anything in the music industry, job, and if you want to get into marketing, data analytics, you do publishing as well, like in the music industry in general, I feel like it's just like a quick Google search, but you can actually go in a little bit more into detail and following, like if you want to work at a certain label, like seeing, like familiarizing yourself with the roster of artists that they have, seeing if you're doing marketing or want to do marketing with them, seeing what strategies they've used in the past that have succeeded. That way you kind of just are able to have that knowledge before going into an interview or before reaching out to them. But definitely use LinkedIn, yeah, if you're wanting to do anything in the music industry.
Yeah,
and then also,
no, you can
do as many workshops, like virtual panels as possible. And then some of them, I think Amethyst Collab has it. They do like, I want to see like a Google Doc sheet. And so you can actually have all those like contacts as your new like networking buddies. And I mean, I've done that. And it's just like, I have like friends that are virtual, and it's just like the LinkedIn connection and that relationship that starts there. So yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to agree with you guys. LinkedIn has worked with me a lot too, just reaching out to people who have positions that I aspire to work as. And we also have a contact sheet, which I'm sure was mentioned before, but for everyone watching, make sure to fill that out. So my last question for you guys before we go on to the audience Q&A is, what advice would you give someone going into the rest of the summit based on your own experience in the music industry? Anthony, let's start with you.
Outside of just the summit, but also the summit, just like embrace everything with open arms. Like I was always anti social media before I got into like the marketing game. And, you know, now I never shut up about social media. So definitely take the whole like ride, I want to say, with open arms, and just don't knock it until you try it. Like same thing with me when the whole Web3 stuff kind of like started picking up. I was like, the heck is Web3, you know, or like, what's an NFT? Like, what's the point? But then like once you start doing research, and for example, my kind of aha moment and understanding of like NFTs in particular was like, they're kind of like Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And I used to collect those as a kid. So I still have some like here in my drawer. Like I don't know why I don't even play the game anymore, but I still have a deck from Yu-Gi-Oh. But if you think of it that way, it kind of makes sense. Like, okay, like there's value behind it because people, you know, like it or want it. So it's a collectible. Same thing. I would collect Funko Pops also way back when. Everyone would call it a waste of money, but like to me, it was like, I like it. I have sentiment towards it. So it's just like any other collectible, whether it be a comic book, pedals, if you're a guitarist, like you buy those because you like them. I know you're not using all 50 of your guitar pedals at once. You have them just on display. So again, just have an open mind and have fun with it at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally. What about you, Kristie?
So for me, it's going to sound cliche, but honestly, it's very personal for me. And I would just say, like, don't give up. I mean, for me, it took like, I don't know, like a year and a half to finally get a job in the industry, which really isn't that long to most people. But for someone impatient like me, it felt like forever. And there were so many times when I just wanted to give up on making this like passion project kind of thing a career. And I didn't. And then when you least expect it, something happens. So for me, just don't give up. That really hits home for me.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Vanessa?
Yeah, I definitely agree with what she was saying. Just don't give up. If you want to work with an artist, DM them on Instagram. Don't be shy, I guess. Like just kind of dive into it. Just be as open as possible to new opportunities, collaborating. But I mean, I just got my master's, or completed my master's program in May, and I was doing some internships here and there. With the pandemic, that was kind of taken away. And then, I mean, it's honestly like people's path in the music industry, it's not linear at all. Like no one's path is linear. So if you don't get a reply back, just keep applying. And I know like the major record labels, it sucks. Like you get like that huge like email that's just like that bulk email that's like, no, we're not interested in you, blah, blah, blah. And even though you could have like the greatest resume ever, but it's just kind of just try not be chummy, but the music industry is kind of a small network. Like everyone kind of knows everyone, and if you can like get a contact that they may know someone, like, oh, there's actually an opening here, anything like that. So I mean, just be open and be friendly and network as much as possible. Network just as much as possible, and don't give up. Because I'm 33. I just got my master's, and I've been working in the music industry since like 2009, and this is probably like the most stable job I've had with the music industry. So yeah, just don't give up.
Yeah, and I think that really ties back to you guys talking about LinkedIn, because for me, like I've reached and connected with people that I wouldn't have ever expected me to talk to. And then they will always post like, oh, look at these job postings that you guys can apply for. So yeah, just definitely all the advice you guys have given. Again, not to repeat myself, but really hope they're taking notes, because that is all awesome advice. But now we're moving on to the audience Q&A. And one of the audience members asked, what's the most challenging part of your jobs? Let's start off with Kristie.
For me at CrowdSurf, so like I said, my background is in data analytics, and right after I had graduated college, they had started teaching courses in coding. And I was like, of course that happens. Like I wanted to learn that. And then after I graduate, that happened. So for me, the hardest part is with CrowdSurf, I'm doing a lot of like manual data pulls. And I wish like I could just like have the experience to have that, to do it in coding with APIs and all of that. I mean, it's something I could definitely learn, but I wish that was something like my school had offered at the time. So that's definitely challenging for me, because it takes a lot of time to do manual data stuff.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Vanessa?
I think the most challenging with my position is that we are a startup, but not just that, but the fact that I didn't study marketing. That wasn't my major or minor. It was a minor in music history. I majored in Spanish, and I love Latin music. But I think the most difficult part of my job is kind of being able to like navigate this marketing space and these trends in a way that you're being analytical about it, even though you don't have a data analysis background. So just making what you can with the data that is available. I know some record labels use machine learning for like A&R and marketing and things like that. But I want to say that's like the hardest and most difficult part. And then also with NFTs just being new and everyone's still educating themselves on it and doing their research on it, and some hesitancy behind it, that can be really, it can be disheartening if you see that there's not this mass adoption of like this technology that's so great. But little by little, I feel like that's going to be adopted like more so at a steady pace. Yeah. But I want to say that that's the most difficult part of my job. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also feel like, though, even though it is the most difficult, it is really cool to see that you can still work in marketing, even though you didn't major in it. So I think at the same time, it's kind of inspiring. What about you, Anthony?
I have two things that are like difficult, I want to say. The first one is just being like a marketer, just having to deal with kind of what we talked about earlier, like keeping up with trends, especially in the marketing space. Like you always have to be up to date with like new privacy enforcements and things of that sort. So like the iOS 14 stuff that happened last year, to where now, you know, Apple doesn't allow their apps, like when you download or update an app, it says, hey, do you want this app to like track your information for ads? Like that hurts me as a paid media, you know, person. So that stuff is always really difficult to navigate and just stay on top of and come up with solutions. So yeah, just it's hard. So again, Google is your best friend, and just staying on top of it. And then the other issue I kind of have also, it's just more of like something that's always been important to me that I never really felt like comfortable talking about, but it's just your mental health is like the most important thing that you can ever like take care of as like both a person, as like as a musician and music industry professional. And that's something that's just always a work in progress for me, just staying motivated, and just taking care of yourself, just anything that has to do with your mental health. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you raised like that, because I feel and I hope as like the new generation of music industry executives rise, that we place more of an emphasis on mental health. So I think that's very important that you raised that. But another question that someone asked is, what do you recommend for artists outside the US in terms of promoting their work worldwide? Why don't we start with Vanessa?
Okay, I was actually going to write back to them because I'm like looking at the chat as well. But for that situation, I would say collaborate with an artist that is in the States. Again, Instagram, social media is your best friend in this situation. Be humble when you're reaching out to them and ask them if they're open to collaborating. Obviously, just don't just get to that question right away, like, yo, do you want to collaborate? But like, try and build that relationship and see if you can collaborate, because that will only push both of you further. It's only going to help both of you out, whoever you choose to collaborate with. As far as I want to say, that would be the best suggestion for that. Yeah, I think also like seeing where other artists similar to yourself, or like what countries they do well in. And I believe that data can be found like on your Spotify, or on just like seeing other people's other artists' Spotify profiles and seeing their followers, and that might have that. You might be able to see like where the location is or where the hotspots are for those artists.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I like the big artists like Bad Bunny, even I know that he collaborated with so many people outside of the US. So I think that's like really important advice to follow. Kristie, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to TikTok just because I've seen like a lot of success just in my own work and with CrowdSurf, being with them for just a little over a month. I never really understood the power that it had in the music industry, and then seeing it firsthand like really blew my mind. So I would say kind of using TikTok to kind of tease songs or release music. There was a study done by MRC data that said 63% of listeners hear a song for the first time on TikTok before hearing it anywhere else. So keeping that in mind, that's really powerful. And also there was another study by TikTok, and it was that 175 songs that trended on TikTok this year alone charted on the Billboard Hot 100. So keeping that in mind, it's just a really powerful tool. And I would definitely take advantage of that and just kind of release music and kind of build a following on there and going from there.
Yeah. Anthony, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, but I agree with everyone here on what they've said. And this isn't directly correlated to like a musician seeing success, but I want to say location doesn't really matter in this day and age, just because again, here we are doing a music industry conference virtually. We're all from everywhere. So I want to say we're now more connected than ever, and just exciting things such as like the metaverse is just going to bridge that gap more and more as time goes on. But there's this person, I forgot their name, but they're from Senegal, and he like simplifies stuff. Like I think the video was like how to open like a bagel, or like cut open a bagel like in half or whatever, and he just like simplifies it. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't want to like butcher it, but it's KHAVY Lame, Cabby Lame, I think. But yeah, like he's from there, like not the US, and he was still able to find success. So again, location is irrelevant in the day and age we live. So don't let that stop you, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that we're really proving that with being in the metaverse right now, and so many people are watching from all over the world. So another question that someone asked is, for marketing agencies niching down to music, how would you recommend they go about finding clients and marketing themselves? If we want to start with Vanessa.
Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, it says, for a marketing agency niching down to music, how would you recommend they go about finding clients and marketing themselves?
I'm a little bit confused on that question.
I think they're trying to say, like, how could they find clients, and then how could they, I guess, market themselves as a marketing agency for clients to find them?
I mean, they can do like any content creation on artists that this marketing agency may have worked with in the past. So that way you have these like testimonials and these use cases of like, hey, we work with this artist to these marketing campaigns, and you have something tangible to show these potential clients that you want to work with, and that you can put on your social media if this marketing agency has like an Instagram or anything like that. So I feel like that would be a really great way to get more clients and just kind of as a marketing agency grow as well.
Yeah. And since we have a couple other questions, I'm going to move on to the next one. And someone asked, what do you think are the most important skills to have as a music marketer? Kristie, let's start with you.
I would definitely say starting with data, just because that's super important. So really understanding the whole realm of data analytics. I would say communication is another big thing. I don't know, there's so many, like I can go on about technical or just like soft skills, but I would say like really understanding data is really going to help you. Just because like that's what I do and that's what my experience has been in. So I would say having a really good understanding of data, and yeah.
Sure.
Be good at your job.
What was that?
I said be good at your job, understand your job. I can't tell you how many marketers I've come across that don't know the difference between X, Y, or Z. And that's just because they don't understand what they're doing. And I think that's just a broader issue with our industry. Kind of, I think someone mentioned something about like gatekeeping, or just how there's always like what feels like a barrier between like the majors and just the indie artists. So I think it's just like a knowledge gap that I feel like resources such as like Finessed Media are really looking to kind of tie everything together. So yeah, it's just a bigger issue that I hope, you know, companies such as Finessed are going to continue to lead the charge and the change that our industry really needs. Because if you look at like, you know, the coding community, like I can go on Google right now and learn JavaScript for free, but like no one teaches you how to be an A&R for free. Like it's this like secretive thing. So it's just a knowledge gap. It's crazy, but yeah, just know what your job is and be good at it. That's it.
That's great advice. And also thanks for saying that about Finessed. I really appreciate that. What about you, Vanessa?
As a music marketer, I think some of the great skills that you should have if you're going to be going into that role or to that sector is how Anthony said. I completely agree. Just be good at what you're doing and do your job. Do your own research. LinkedIn Learning, I know when the universities or colleges, when we were in the pandemic, they had a lot of different classes or LinkedIn sessions that were free. So you could do like a Google Data Analytics, I believe, certificate. They also had, I mean, all these like workshops. You're going to be learning from these like industry professionals. So I would recommend like just being also very data interpretive as well, like being able to analyze data, whether that's you looking for the data or seeing or looking for these patterns, or just like researching like any trends that are going on within the music industry, whether that's going to Music Business Worldwide, whether that's going to the RIAA.com page, anything like that. But also just I would say too, have a mentor that that you look up to, that you find out certain artists has a marketing manager that did such a great job. And if you feel like that's someone that you can reach out to, whether it's, I would recommend on LinkedIn, reaching out to them and seeing if you could do like an informational interview. And that will actually be able to like, you would actually be able to talk to them, whether that's virtually, and just kind of get guidance from someone that's already in the industry. So I feel like having a mentor and them kind of giving you some guidance and direction is going to be really key into that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. And for our last question, before we go on to the listening session, someone asked, how can you successfully use a platform you get good engagement on to transfer it to another platform? So for example, if you have TikTok, how could you transfer that engagement to Instagram or YouTube to Spotify? Anthony, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. 3 words: call to action. right? So what that essentially means is that whenever you post something on your main platform, let's just say it is TikTok, have a call to action in your content. And essentially what that is your goal, right? Like, what is the purpose of your content piece? Is it to get people to, follow you on Instagram? Is it to get people to check you out on Spotify, for example? So any action that you're trying to get people to do, like, just blatantly state it at the end of the video. Do as I say, but not as I do. I'm really bad at this, but like, my core following is on TikTok, and I've always struggled like repurposing my content to Instagram just because of time. It takes a lot of time, and I'm a team of one. So repurpose your content for one, but two, one thing that I did that I saw success from was in like whatever video you're posting, if you literally add like a little text caption that says like Instagram saw it first or Discord saw it first or whatever, that like tells people like, wow, like, whoever follows this person on or whoever is a part of their Discord or whoever follows them on Instagram, they saw this post before. So maybe I should follow them on Instagram. And a couple of times that I did that, I would get like 100 followers in like a day on Instagram or something. So it works. I just don't do it. So again, do as I say, but don't do as I do.
Before I move on to someone else, that's so funny that you mentioned that, because it's actually something that I do on my TikToks, doing the call to action. So got that advice from you, honestly. What about you, Kristie? Have you seen anything that you've done specifically with Emblem 3 or I don't know, with CrowdSurf?
Yeah, with Emblem 3, it's a lot of like repurposing content. So, like I said, like they have taken a few breaks over the years, and this year they most recently got back together. So we really kind of took advantage of like doing a lot of like throwbacks and stuff, and just really like getting the fans back and talking about them. So one major thing I've been working on was like doing TikToks, and just posting like a whole bunch of like throwback videos and kind of just re-engaging those fans. And I also like what Anthony was saying about like TikTok saw it first, like that's huge, because someone will be like, oh, like if they saw it first, I want to see it first, so then they'll go follow you there. So I would definitely say that, and just the repurposing of content has been huge for us.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Vanessa?
Yeah, I would have to agree with both Anthony and Kristie. Like, I just feel like repurposing that content, whether it's reels, whether it's like shortening like your IG live TV videos, and then just making that into a reel. I mean, if you're an artist and you're trying to just kind of migrate your audience from either Instagram to TikTok or TikTok to Instagram, obviously it's a different algorithm. TikTok, I feel it's the more content you put up, and then the call to action as well, because you see that get picked up more in the algorithm for Instagram and for TikTok. So yeah, I think that's probably going to be the best way, and to repurpose your content. And then also any previous content or anything that you've shared that has done well, feel free to reshare that, because you're going to like, if you were to reshare something like, oh, I saw it on Discord first, then people will actually be interested, and there'll be a curiosity, and then you'll kind of have that like magnetic effect on the audience.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks again for all of this advice and answering all of these questions from the audience. That concludes the audience Q&A. So we're going to move on to the listening session. And for everyone watching who's never been to our events or seen what this is, our listening sessions the purpose is to have audience members find new artists to listen to, and for the artists who submitted their music to get feedback from our panelists. So our first song is called, oh my God, I'm going to probably pronounce this wrong. Kumu Gumu Bounce by Apollo Fresh. And Apollo Fresh is a Haitian American born in Queens. And you guys might recognize him from his song JoJo Pose that went really viral on TikTok. So Danny is going to share that song now.
Necessity etched the essence of excellence of my energy. That's the recipe. Pessimistic peasantry can't step to me, just rest in peace. Keep it bouncing like bed springs or Bellamy, it's menacing. Keep it jumping, I'm gone, gumu gumu, rocket onto better things.
Just different.
Yeah.
switch up the landscape. I did not come for a handshake. I spit like a dragon or X-Drake. A human or beast, man, I can't say. I think my thoughts, then they come to fruition. Whoa. Straight intuition. I made it hit, then I paid for tuition. I graduate cause I stayed on the mission. With my car, got armament hockey. To the moon like a nail, I'm young, call me. I got smiles, if you need it, just call me. Been a beast, I feel like Kaido, big mommy. Your hockey can't harm me, a Yonko will arm me. I'ma be the pirate king, you can't stop me. I feel like Luffy, the One Piece is mine, it amuse me. The freedom is lucid and groovy. Necessity, etch the essence of excellence of my energy. That's the recipe. Pessimistic peasantry can't step to me, just rest in peace. Keep it bouncing like bed springs or Bellamy, it's menacing. Keep it jumping, I'm gone, gumu gumu, rocket onto better things. Bounce.
Okay, that was awesome. Anthony, I saw you bopping along. Any thoughts?
One word. That was, oh no, that's 3 words. That was fire. Yeah, bars for days for sure. I'm familiar with the trend. Never knew the artist behind the trend. So that was cool to put 2 and 2 together. I don't think that's any fault of the artist in particular. I think it's just more so of it never coming across my FYP, because I assume, you know, whenever you go viral, you want to capitalize on it. So upon looking at, you know, their TikTok, I did see that they were capitalizing on it. So good job on that. But yeah, I love the music. I love the anime vibe. I'm not a big anime person. I've been meaning to get into it for the longest time. I think the only anime I watched was Death Note, and that's about it. And yeah, I mean, just overall, everything is cool. From a marketing perspective, though, the only thing I would suggest to change out ASAP would be on your TikTok bio. You're linking directly to YouTube versus a smart link. I would highly suggest doing that, not only because it links out to all of your other, you know, streaming services, for example, but you can install things like a Facebook pixel or a TikTok pixel. And essentially what that does is just captures users' behavior for you to then re-engage with them at a later time. So for your next sound that goes viral, let's say you get 100,000 people visiting your TikTok profile. If half of those people visit your link in bio, let's say it's 50K, you can then serve them ads on Facebook, Snapchat, or TikTok later on. So it's a really solid strategy that I recommend you do ASAP if you're watching. And for other artists out there that are only linking to Spotify or only linking to YouTube via your social media bio links, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So definitely look into a tool such as like Feature FM. And yeah, just get it done.
That's great advice. Kristie, anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I do enjoy that. And I think everything that Anthony was saying is really great advice overall. So I would definitely what Anthony said. He always has great advice though.
Vanessa, what about you?
I really like that track. I'm not familiar with the artist, but I mean, it's I really liked it. Any artist that I'm not a huge Travis Scott fan, but it kind of gave that vibe. But if you're wanting to expand on the marketing of it, kind of see if you could do any type of like creative twist on a previous Travis Scott marketing campaign or anything like that, and then make it your own. Or if you're not wanting to just like, I'm not trying to say like imitate or copy, but just kind of adding your own flair to it. And then if you were to do like a music video with it, I feel like that would even further the marketing campaign, even like elongate it more. So dropping a video might be like something really good to like build that up even further. I'm not sure if there's a music video for it, but it would keep you relevant. And then you could also in the content that you'd share, kind of do like a teaser for a song that you might have coming up or dropping.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. And again, I hope everyone watching is taking some notes because it's awesome marketing advice. Our next song is Sex by Queen Mars. And Queen Mars is from Chicago and dabbles in a genre she has termed kaleidoscope pop, a sonic umbrella that gives her freedom to create at whim.
When did we get so drunk on our emotions? Is it love or fear that brings us to the this closeness. There's nothing here except the feelings that we bury. We never share the bodies that we carry. Every time I kiss him, there's venom in my system. It's when he looks at me and asks me why it tastes so sweet, and I say, I'm sugar and spice, I'm everything nice, but at that triple X, I'll be whatever you want. He's grabbing my thighs, he's getting baptized, he's spelling SEX out with the tip of his tongue.
Okay. Any thoughts? Vanessa, let's start with you.
I loved her vocals. I loved her vocals. I think that's like a really good blend of a couple like different genres. I feel like it's just like a lot of very like soul, and then it's very melodic, and it's like R&B as well. So I just feel like just kind of exaggerate that a little bit more to get that song further out there and get some new demographic and audience members in, and just kind of, I feel like that's like a really great way, just because you're seeing a cross collaboration in genres. But I really like that song. It was a really great song.
Kristie, anything to add?
Yeah, I actually loved that song. That was really good. I love the tempo, her vocals, just the overall song. I can definitely see, I know I keep saying it, but TikTok, I can definitely see that like becoming a viral sound on TikTok. So definitely take advantage of that. I really did enjoy that song.
For sure. Anthony, what about you?
How would you describe it? Like, I felt like, what's that thing they say on TikTok? This song made me feel like I was the main character in a movie, you know, like when you were younger, like listening to music on your iPod, just looking out the window. Like that's the vibe I got from the song. So yeah, good job. That was dope. I didn't catch the name, so I can't really
her name is Queen Mars, and the song is called Sex.
Got it. Okay, I'll Google that. But yeah, it was good.
Awesome. So our next song is called To Myself by Chufeng. And Chufeng is a singer-songwriter from the Midwest who is influenced by pop, R&B, and indie pop.
Smiling so damn much, it kind of hurts. Laughing so damn hard, it feels so good, it's such a rush. Prioritizing joy, loving kindness faithfully. Only have time for the good in life. Working on myself, keeping up with my health. Just trying to keep good vibes, good times only. Feel it in my heart, deep down from within. It's in my soul. I know how to get back to that joy, that vibe, that light within my eyes. I know how to get back to myself, to myself, to myself.
Cool. Kristie, any thoughts on To Myself by Chufeng?
Yeah, I like that song. It reminds me of a similar artist, sort of. His name's Spencer Sutherland. And yeah, I really like the guitar in the beginning and the message of the song. Overall, I really enjoyed that one too.
Yeah.
What was the artist's name? I'm sorry.
Her name is Chufeng.
Okay.
It's spelled Chuefeng.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
What about you, Anthony?
I liked the song and the lyrics were really cool. I think for me, the production could possibly use like a remix or remaster, but that's just because I have a little bit of a what is it? A case of like sonic something. Like I don't know. I'm just an audiophile, so like any like off like just anything in general. It's nothing against you nor your mixing engineer. I just have like a good ear for things like that. But again, that's nothing that could hold you back from blowing up on TikTok. I mean, she has over 26,000 followers and does really engaging content, which people seem to enjoy. And, you know, production that's not up to par with like the industry standard, for example, will never hurt an artist because you know that's usually an A&R's job to distinguish, like even if it's a demo or if they're an indie artist and they're putting out like their first couple of tracks out and maybe they don't sound as professional as they could eventually sound, like it's their job to put aside that stuff and recognize talent, in which again that is exactly what I'm doing. I recognize the talent. So that's just my only advice. Maybe, you know, if it's within the budget, explore different mixing, mastering opportunities if possible. There's a ton of, you know, resources out there, such as like, I think Lander is a cool mastering service. And then Spotify has like their marketplace to connect with like mix and mastering engineers that may or may not, you know, fit within your budget or also just your sound, because I think it's a really cool sound. So yeah.
That's awesome feedback and advice. What about you, Vanessa?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I'm not, I don't have their TikTok account pulled up, nor do I know if they've done a duet, but I feel like doing a duet with like another artist and doing that song together, or a fan of yours and doing that song together, like singing it together on a duet, or just kind of like reusing your content for that song. And then yeah, I think it could really like blow up in that way if you were having that fan engagement, like the direct audience, and them being able to do a duet with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of things tie back to TikTok and social media. So again, artists take these ideas. So our next
video saved. Sorry to cut you off, but I have a video. I have a TikTok video saved on my drafts. That's like every music industry Zoom or every music business Zoom. And it's just like me saying TikTok a billion times. So look out for that.
For sure. I think TikTok's so important. As I make videos myself too. So our next song is Missed by Azar. And Azar is a musician from New Jersey who has combined his love for jazz / soul music and classic lo-fi beats. Hey, cool. And I don't know if you saw the chat, but this song has no lyrics. It was just lo-fi beats. So any thoughts, Vanessa?
Yeah, so I really love that, and I feel like that's just like really good track to just relax to, and obviously it's like really like chill vibes. I think it would do really well on a Spotify playlist to get more exposure on it. If you could land like some type of placement on like a studying or just chill vibes, or like, I know there's tons and tons of playlists on Spotify that this would really work. Also, even just reaching out to maybe music libraries, because I feel like this would be something really good to go into, like have like a sync placement as well. So tying it into anything on TV and film or anything like that. But I think the production is really great and I really like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could definitely see myself studying to this.
Yeah.
What about you, Anthony?
As a guitar player, I really appreciated the guitar work on there. And yeah, it was a really cool track. And this is just like overall strategy, I guess, like if I were in their position, or just for any like instrumental artist, EDM, DJ, whatever, do not sleep on getting someone to like reimagine your song or get like a feature. And a prime example of this would be one of my clients. They're called Luna Lee. They're a group out of Canada. And last year, their singer and multi-instrumentalist Hannah created something called the Jams EP, which is like 1 minute long, like jams, like pretty similar to what was just played. It's like a lo-fi type thing. And then she re-released one of her jams with an artist called Serena Isioma. And it's called Flower. And like the original jam was called Flower. And then now this redone version is called Flower in Full Bloom. So they turned that 1 minute version into like a 3 minute one. So that's just a really cool strategy that instrumental artists and lo-fi artists could also explore. So yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that kind of not exactly the same thing, but even just like I know Taylor Swift had to do that for legal reasons and everything, but even just thinking about how she's been able to repurpose like her content and make it new and have all these new people listening to it too. What about you, Kristie?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it again, but TikTok, the first thing that came to mind was that being a TikTok sound. Like I could totally see that being like a summer, like chill TikTok sound. Yeah, that was the first thing that came to mind. I could really see that happening.
Yeah, for sure. And our last song is called Cafe Society, and it's by Elsie. And Elsie is a LA-based singer-songwriter who spans across multiple genres from dark synth pop to folk elements. So this is Cafe Society.
One time coffee's going nowhere fast. I don't feel these interactions last, but let's do this dance. Drag it out as long as we can. Who will love me when there's no one left to reassure me that the time will pass? Let's take our chance. Wait it out as long as we have a better solution for the effect of being lonely. Your best dress. I'm just so jaded. The luster's quickly fading. I'm rusty and I am aging. Caged in this cafe society. Aging, caged in. Keep chasing pavements. Caged in this cafe society.
Awesome. That song also makes me kind of feel like a main character. I saw you kind of bopping, Kristie. What are your thoughts on the song?
I thought that was really good. It kind of gives me some Lorde vibes, and I think that was really cool. Yeah, I thought it was really good, actually. I'm gonna go follow her on Instagram soon.
Yeah, her artist name is spelled EL.SY.
Okay.
What about you, Anthony?
I liked the song. Same thing, main character vibes for sure. But another thing that kind of came to mind was like I felt like I was like shopping. So with that being said, it kind of feels like it would be a great track to pitch out for sync licensing, for example. So that's another like marketing strategy that artists should look into. And I don't want to say it's accessible to everyone, but it kind of is. Just, at the credits of whatever TV show, just look for, the music, the people that are in charge of the music, and connect with them on LinkedIn, as we've said multiple times on this panel. Like, don't sleep on LinkedIn for your music career. But yeah, sync licensing, look into it. It's a great way to not just make money, but also get your music heard in really interesting places.
Yeah, totally. I agree. What about you, Vanessa?
Same thing, Anthony and Kristie were saying. I would add, and this just from hearing the vocals, if you could collaborate with like an EDM artist or DJ to kind of make that like a boppier, like electronic song, I think that would be really great, because it's just like the EDM kind of vocals. I feel like that she has that. So, and that would get you a different like demographic of listeners too, like than your traditional ones that you have right now. So I just think that would be a really great thing for you to collaborate or have someone do a remix.
Yeah. Thank you to all the artists for submitting your music. And thank you to all the panelists for giving us all this feedback. That was so awesome. And I know you guys dropped some amazing ideas for everyone to use and marketing techniques. And that was just a whole bunch of knowledge and advice that I really am going to value. And again, hoping everyone took some notes. So before we close out this panel, where can everyone find you? Social medias, LinkedIn, where can people reach out to you? Kristie, let's start with you.
So my LinkedIn is just my name, Kristie Scavotto. It's Kristie. Last name Scavotto, Scavotto. And then my Instagram is Kristie, and then the first 4 letters of my last name. So SCAV. So Kristie Scav on Instagram.
What about you, Anthony?
I have the worst handles and domain names ever. It's at oddly simple, ODDLY, and then simple with no E. The website is oddlysimple.xyz. It's a pain to explain to people. But yeah, just Google me, Anthony Pacheco music, and you'll find me.
Yeah, he is really big on TikTok, so everyone should definitely check out his TikTok. What about you, Vanessa?
For me, you can find me on LinkedIn. So it would be Vanessa, my first name, and last name, Villalobos. So that's V as in Vanessa, ILLALOB as in boy, OS. It's the longest last name ever, but and so you could find me on there, and then just feel free to like reach out, message me there, or you can email me at Vanessa@ROCKI, ROCKI.app, and then just basically just reach out and don't be shy to ask any questions. There are no stupid questions. I mean, this was all completely new to me. Less than a year working in the tech space, but I mean, I have over 10 years of working in the music industry. But honestly, I love guiding people and being able to get the music industry, get it accessible to people that have been gate kept out sometimes. Yeah. So yeah, just feel free to find me there. And then on Instagram, it's Sassa, SASSA _TRA.TRA. But if you message me on LinkedIn, I can just redirect you, because it's kind of a silly name.
That is so awesome. Thank you again, everyone. I learned so much, and I know everyone else watching did. And thanks for dropping all of your social medias and LinkedIn's. That concludes my panel. So I'm going to pass it on to Jenna to introduce the next one. And again, thank you guys for coming on, and thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.